In this video, we're going to talk about how to recognize quadratics in other forms, which is sometimes called quadratics by substitution. In order for something to be quadratic, there's a special relationship that happens between its variables. So if we just look at x squared x and c, this ratio, if this is 1, is 2 to 1, technically to 0, but it's always going to be 0, so we usually don't include that. It's 2 to 1. So for something to be quadratic, it has to have a 2 to 1 ratio between its exponents, between the variable exponents. So let's see what that would look like. Okay. This first one, 32x to the 10th minus 31x to the 5th minus 1 equals 0. We check, does it have a 2 to 1 ratio? Well, 5 times 2 gives us 10, so it does. So that one is, let's check the next one. 4 times 2 is 8. So that's true. This next one is tricky because this is technically x, and this we can also write it as x to the 1/2, rational exponents. So this one also is quadratic. So let's look at some solutions, how we would do this. So in order to make this work, we do what we call a U substitution. So the U substitution is we take the middle term and make it U. And it's not the middle term, the middle variable and make it U. So for this first one, so is it 32x to the 10th? So we have 32x to the 10th minus 31x to the 5th minus 1 equals 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to say u is equal to x to the 5th, and then we're going to make that substitution into the equation. So we're going to be left with 32 and u squared minus 31u minus 1 equals 0. Now it's a quadratic equation, and it's a simple matter of using one of the methods we've looked at, be that the quadratic formula, completing the square, factorizing, or the calculator method, to solve the quadratic equation. And you get that. So your calculator is going to say x. You have to be careful, though, because we actually solve for u. So u1 is negative 1 over 32, and u2 is 1. Now, we're not looking for u. What we're looking for is x. So next, we undo the u substitution. So this comes back now. So we have x to the 5th equals negative 1 over 32, and x to the 5th equals 1. And then we solve. So we get x equal to 1, and we get x equal to negative 1/2, I believe. Yes. So there are your solutions. You can look at the others and do the same thing. So for the second one, we'd have u to the 4th. And for this last one, we would have u, um, sorry, u would be equal to x to the fourth, and u would be equal to the square root of x. And you would make those substitutions, solve the quadratic, substitute u back in, solve for x. That is quadratics in other forms or quadratics by substitution. So I'll do one more. I'll do this one for you here. So remember, u is the middle term, so u is the square root of x, and then we rewrite 6u squared minus 17u plus 5 equals 0. And then it's a simple matter of solving. We get u equal to 1/3 and u equal to 5/2. Now remember, it's not u. We don't want u, we want x. So we put this back in. So we have the square root of x equals 1/3, and the square root of x equals 5/2. And to get rid of a square root, we can square both sides. So end up with x equaling 1/9 and x equaling 25/4. So in this video, we looked at recognizing quadratics when they're in other forms and how to solve those quadratics by using U substitution.